Hey, this is John. Welcome back to Modern Old School Developer. In this episode, we're going to keep working on improving our error handling. So let's get into that. So in our utility Python file, we've got this to do right here. So should HTTP exceptions be raised here? And as I was saying last episode, I don't think they should be. I want all of the REST exceptions to be raised inside main.py. So let's make a custom exception for when this is going to happen. So we've got this right here, unable to move path. It already exists. Okay. We've got this one, file name conflicts. We've got this one, could not create the directory. And this one could not create a link or delete a link. So they're all things related to the file system and making or moving paths. Let's make a new exception called a path exception, derived from exception, and again, we're just going to say pass on that. So let's go back to the very first one, and let's raise a custom exception. We'll raise a path exception here. So let's say unable to migrate movie.filename as path new already exists. Okay. I think that's a sufficiently pithy error message to put in there. So we're going to go ahead and remove our other thing now. So we've got that, and we can get rid of that as well. What's the next thing? So this was a conflict, but I think we're going to raise 500 exceptions for all of these things because we don't expect these to ever happen on the server. And if they do, it's really nothing the end user can fix from the front end. So let's just do those. So again, we will raise a path exception. And what's our message going to be here? Unable to rename movie.filename as filename new already exists. Yeah, that seems reasonable. So we'll get rid of that as well. Okay, and we'll cut that. This one has a similar problem. So let's see here. If os.exists path.new. Actually, I guess I didn't read this too carefully because I'm already checking for this right here in os path exists. So yes, that is safe to do at this point. We've already checked for that. All right. So in my to-do, all right. So now we have another one. So raise path exception. And the message will be, let's see, this is making a link. So we'll say link directory path base could not be created. All right, we'll go ahead and get rid of that. And what else do we have? Same thing here, but it'll be unable to create link path file to path link. That was pretty good as it is already. I guess it was fine like that. Okay, and finally this one here, and this one is the exact same thing, path exception, and we're just going to use this message right here, and I think that will do. All right, so now we need to go handle the consequences of adding these new exceptions. So we need to know where might these exceptions be raised and what might be calling those so we can trace that back to the endpoint that needs to actually handle them. So none of the things in main.py actually use any of our changed utility functions. The functions we changed were update link, migrate file, and rename movie file. So since none of those are being used in here, we need to look to crud.py instead. So within crud.py, we're using those within the add movie actor, the add movie category, and the delete components. Also in update movie, add movie, and delete movie. So those are all the potentially affected CRUD APIs that could raise a path exception. So let's go back into main API and look for things that use that. So I think the first one we're going to see, not in actors or categories, it's here in the movie actor endpoints. So add movie actor calls CRUD add movie actor. So we need to handle the potential path exception. So accept path exception as E, and we're going to simply raise an exception here. And this time it's going to be HTTP 500 internal server error, and that will be our message. And we need to make one of these as well. So this time it's going to be for a 500 exception, and description is going to be whatever. It's fine. Just need something in there to describe the overarching kind of errors we're expecting here. All right, so we're going to need to copy this down to the next one over into our delete. It's going to be the exact same handler for the delete movie actors. All right, and the same thing for the categories. So we can put the category exception there and then copy our 500 error as a responses. All right, and then delete movie category, same thing. We'll copy that response, and then we'll copy our exception. All right, there we go. And now I think that is all of the actor and category links. So the other links are handled inside update movie. So that should be fine. But we also have the add and delete movie endpoints. So not get movies or get movie by ID, but this right here in import movies. So we are doing this here where we catch the duplicate entry exception. But we could also have a path exception if we tried to add the movie and for whatever reason our file name is not correct. So this is similar to our duplicate entry exception, except this is not a database error. So if we add a movie from the imports folder and we put it in our movies folder, or we try to do that, but we can't for some reason, like it already exists, or we can't write that or can't make that migration. You know, one of those things could happen on the file system. So once again, I'm going to go grab the exception. Do I already have that in here? Yes, I do. Okay, so we can do that, and we'll have the internal server error, and then I need to grab something in here. I call it a fatal error here. We can call it a path error now. And I guess that's already fine. So yeah, that should take care of add movie. So now here's the update movie. Let's go take care of the delete movie first though. So let's copy this error code over here. We'll go down to our delete event, and we'll go back up here and grab our exception. And it's going to be right down here. So again, in the delete movie, we might have a problem too if we can't move the file back to the imports directory for whatever reason. All right, so that handles that, and I think that just leaves update movie. Yeah, and yeah, I think it's the same thing. We have this path exception right here, and that covers all of the other problems that might happen. So all we have to do is copy the 500 error in our response model. And there we go. We could have one of those. I'm not going to concern myself too much with how far we've gotten when we have one of these exceptions. We're never expecting them to actually happen. This is not supposed to happen. This means someone has done something on the file system that they should not have done. And that is simply beyond the ability of the API or the front end to control. This is simply an internal server error that we can't handle. I don't know, maybe the disk is full or there's no more inodes. I can't think of all the possibilities of what might happen, but they're just things that we simply can't solve automatically as far as I can think of right now, at least not without some kind of complication. But yeah, I think that all looks pretty good. So now we're handling our path exception. All right, the next thing I want to look at is in the CRUD module in the add movie actor function. So we've got a pair of open questions here. First is, if we add the same actor to the movie twice? What's going to happen? Are we going to have a problem? I don't know. Let's find out. And also alphabetization issues with append. So we are appending the actor onto the movie and then renaming the movie file. I want the list of actors on the movie file to be in alphabetical order. But if we're appending them, is it going to place things in the wrong order? And I'm not sure about that yet either. So let's go test that out. So let's go over here to Avatar. We've got Sigourney Weaver on there. What happens if we add Jake Gyllenhaal? He should be before Sigourney Weaver, so does he appear before on the list? And the answer is no, he does not. He appears last on the list. All right, what if we add Chris Evans? Well, he goes over there, and Jake Gyllenhaal is now correct, but Chris Evans is wrong. So yes, appending puts the most recent actor you've selected at the end of the list, no matter what that recent actor is. It will sort the rest of them, but it won't sort the last one. So we need to fix that problem. The other problem is, what happens if you add an actor twice? So Chris Evans is already on here. What if I add Chris Evans again? It says it added him. What did it really do? Well, we didn't get any problems in the database or any errors over here, but you see our file name has Chris Evans listed there twice. I don't want that. So we need to go fix those problems. And I think there might be actually a pretty simple solution to fix both of them. So since we're not getting any database errors over here, we know that appending the same actor twice is not going to be a problem. So what is the problem? The problem is we're not fetching the data from the database again. We don't have that update done yet. So we should be able to fix that by simply committing our database information with the new actor here. And once we do that, once we get into the rename movie file function, it should fetch our actors, it'll fetch the new actors, and that should help us out. Now, I'm not sure about how the caching is going to work here. I think maybe because we're changing the list, it will invalidate the actors, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But let's see what happens when we go back over here. All right, so let's go back, and you can see Chris Evans on there twice. Let's remove him. Let's remove Jake Gyllenhaal. There we go. Back to just Sigourney Weaver. So let's add Joe Rogan. He's on the list. He's alphabetically first, and he is alphabetically first. If we add Chris Evans, oh, I selected him first. If we add Chris Evans, yeah, he's in there, and he's on there first. If we do it again, add Chris Evans. Okay, cool. So we can't add him twice. So that's kind of nice. The one thing I don't like, though, is this. If I say I added Chris Evans, it says I successfully added Chris Evans to Avatar. And that's not actually true. We need some kind of conflict error to tell us that we didn't actually add him because he already exists. I want to handle that a little bit better. I don't want you to silently ignore the issue. I want to catch the issue and throw an error. So let's do something a little bit different. So before we append the actor, let's check to make sure that the actor does not already exist. So let's start off by saying for movie actor in movie.actors, I'm going to check to see if the actor ID equals movie actor.id, and I need some help here. This is a models.actor. If that is true, we're going to raise an exception, a duplicate entry exception. And we're going to say actor ID is already on movie ID. Okay, so that's what we'll do for that. And I think that should give us a better handling of the errors. But we also need to handle this new exception in our main API. So let's go back to main and go look at add movie actor. We need to also handle duplicate entry exceptions. Let's going to be pretty similar, although this time I'm going to raise a 409 conflict error. And message will be the exact same, so that looks good. So we'll just copy this over here and add that. It's going to be a 409 error, and this time it's going to be duplicate actor. Okay, I think that should work. So let's see what happens with that. I didn't define E. I better do that real quick. Okay, there we go. Now it should work. So let's go in here and let's refresh our messages. So what happens if I try to add Chris Evans again? I get error updating actor. Cool. So we had a conflict. It would be nice if we had a better message than that, but we did get some kind of message. We'll have to fix this as well, but that's basically what I want to see. So let's see what we can do about that message. So this is when we update our actor. So let's go into our front end. And in the source, in the components, in the actor selector, what is happening here? And what I have is this right here. So we have the actor name, and we're saying is response okay? And if it's not, we're going to get this error updating actor. And actually, we have lots of different codes to look at for this. So why don't we use a switch statement instead of just response okay or not? So let's say we're going to switch on response.status, and we're going to have case 200, case, what are our other options? What's in here? We can have a 200, a 404, a 409, or a 500. So we'll have a 404, case 409, and we'll have a default, and that will be for our case 500. All right, so what are we going to say? Well, in case 200, we're going to do this, because that's what we're doing on case 200 already. And then I want to break there, obviously. All right, and in case 404, which I don't think can happen here, but I don't know, maybe database changed in the back end somehow, so we want to be able to handle this error anyway. So let's see here. We're going to do a formic set status invalid actor ID. So I don't really know what to do about this right now, so we'll just say we have some kind of error, and we'll move on for now. All right, so what if we get a 409 error? That means there was a conflict. It means it already exists. So let's say formic.setStatus, and we'll have a template string here, and we will say actor name is already selected. We'll break there. And then finally, we're going to have formic.setStatus, and we're gonna just say unknown server error. Okay, and I think that should all be good. So let's go ahead and delete those, and those are all of our potential case statements. So let's see what happens. So now if we go select this and I try to add Chris Evans again, what happens? Actor Chris Evans is already selected. Cool. If I removed him, I add him back. Cool. That works. And again, unless you're messing with the backend at the same time, I don't think we're going to have a 404 error ever. So I don't think we'll actually see that in the front end. It would be something you'd have to do on the back end yourself. Same thing with 500 errors. We shouldn't be seeing those either. So they're pretty rare. But I think that handled both of these cases. So I think that looks pretty good. So yeah. All right. So I'm going to add all of this to the add movie category and the delete movie category. It's going to be the exact same thing, just, you know, with a little bit different logic. But yeah, we'll make sure that you can't delete an actor that doesn't exist. So if we don't find them, we'll throw a 404 exception or something. So yeah. And that should all be good on that. Okay. Well, I think that's a good wrapping up point for today's episode. I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, help us grow, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.